Hello again, everybody. It's Robert Earl out here at the Eco Ranch in Far West, Texas. This is a vlog for August 10th, 2016. I'm going to cover 4 or 5 different things, and the subjects are going to change a little bit, but I think it's going to be of interest to you. Number one, I'm standing here in front of what eventually is going to be the nursery for our baby chicks. Right now it's their main coop because it's the only thing I've got a roof over, partially. But in here, I had taken a lot of time and a lot of effort to run an automatic watering system. Now, when you're on rain catchment like us and water is very scarce, you got to be careful that you don't waste water. In other words, if I had, say, an automatic watering system hooked up to my main water, which is generally several thousand gallons of water, and something went wrong with it, I could lose several thousand gallons of water. So, and I think maybe I'll just take a minute and just real quickly show you the system that I have for running their automatic waterer so I don't lose thousands of gallons. But the one thing I want to tell you, if you have chickens and you've considered an automatic waterer, we've had bad luck with nipple waterers. Doesn't mean you will, but we have, because, and this is a problem we have with anything, is algae does build up inside the lines, even if it's white PVC. That algae shears off and plugs the nipple water so water doesn't come through. It also plugs the other kind. I want to show you the other kind. Got to get out of the camera for a second. Now this one here is one that you might recognize. It's, I believe, don't quote me, it might be the Little Giant, but it attaches to your pipe or your hose right here, and it hangs. And then the water comes in, and the weight of the water, you can see me pushing it. Here, let me get a little closer. You can see me pushing it down. The weight of the water, ideally, is supposed to, stop this, and then you just set how sensitive it is. We had 2 of these. We're not even a year into them, and they've both gone bad. Number one, there's supposed to be a little valve in there. That valve apparently just corrodes through, and no, it's not my water because my water's rainwater. So that valve quits working. You are adjusting this every single day so it works properly. Now, we had bad luck with it. The caveat in there is this is a gravity water system with about 5 pounds of pressure, so under a good pressure system it may work better. I had bad luck with it, so I wanted to tell you that. Now, I'll tell you about the automatic waterer in just a second. It's only a minute's worth. But here I'm standing in front of the chicken coop, and we run a deep litter system. Now, deep litter is where you don't pick up the straw, the wood shavings, and the chicken crap. You just let it pile up and pile up. Well, as it piles up, eventually you get domestic beetles in there and their larvae, and the beetles get in and they help compost the trash. Water, and this is why this is the only place I can run composting, is because their automatic waterer is in here. They splash the water out so it stays moist. So this stuff compacts up, and it compacts up. I said compacted, I meant compost. It composts up, makes a wonderful compost, and I want to show you because it's time. It's been here for about 2 years. I've been lazy. Time to get it out. Now this will have rocks and whatever in it. This is composted. This is composted chicken manure, along with whatever else got in there, and a lot of it's feed and whatever. Now, it smells earthy. It smells it smells soily. It smells like wet soil. Yeah, I'm sweating. It's another 100-degree day out here, and we had rain. So it's about 80% humidity this morning, so I'm going to sweat in this. So that's good stuff. Now I'll show you what I'm doing with that in a minute, but what I'd like to do is get behind the camera for a second and just kind of give you a little overview of the automatic watering system in case you're considering putting one in your place. So as I said, we can't afford to risk our thousands of gallons of water that we depend on. So this roof here, I'm going to try to, let me back up. Go real quickly and show you. This is the roof over the stable and the hay barn. Then you see the roof over the chicken coop, partial roof. Then over there you see the main roof of the house. So these 2 roofs are fairly separate. This one and the main house roof are separate. So this roof has its own gutter system, and you just follow the pipe there. And I've got the gutter at 2 levels, so one drains into the other and then comes down this pipe. Fairly simple gravity system. It fills up this 80-gallon tank here, and then if it overflows, you can see the blue hose attached at the overflow. And I take that overflow, now hang on, you're going to get dizzy here. Take that overflow and run that overflow over to the duck's pond. I'm sorry I'm so wobbly. Over to the duck's pond, where if it overflows, it goes into the duck pond. That's kind of cool. Back, getting dizzy. I also, you see the blue line there, I have a water fill with a valve that hooks up to the main system. Now, coming off of that, you see the PVC line. That PVC line with the valve's on right now, comes down to a T that runs down here, so I can plumb in a couple automatic waterers here. I've got the cement and rocks over it now, and goes over into the nursery. It's all gravity fed, and the gravity depends on the weight that's in this 80-gallon tank. Just food for thought for you guys that maybe you're in the same boat as me, or as everybody in the world should do, you're interested in conserving water. This is a great way of conserving and utilizing the water. Okay, now let me show you what I'm doing with this composted chicken manure. Now we've moved over here, and what I've got is my wheelbarrow with my screen on it. Now this is the screen that I use to separate our sand and dirt from rock, of course, when I'm doing the mortar. But what I've done here is I put a whole bunch of this composted chicken manure in here, and the reason is some of these clumps are not going to break up, but mainly there's a lot of rock in here, and I don't want that rock in with my moringa trees or anything. So what I'm going to do is just screen this through like so, run it through the screen, and then what's left up here, which is going to be clumps like this, I'm going to dump around the, I don't think you can see them, but around my desert museum trees. These 2 trees have been struggling since I put them there. So let me finish this up and I'll come back. Now we've moved over here, and what I've got is my wheelbarrow with my screen on it. Now this is the screen that I use to separate our sand and dirt from rock, of course, when I'm doing the mortar. But what I've done here is I put a whole bunch of this composted chicken manure in here, and the reason is some of these clumps are not going to break up, but mainly there's a lot of rock in here, and I don't want that rock in with my moringa trees or anything. So what I'm going to do is just screen this through like so, run it through the screen, and then what's left up here, which is going to be clumps like this, I'm going to dump around the, I don't think you can see them, but around my desert museum trees. These 2 trees have been struggling since I put them there. So let me finish this up and I'll come back. All right, I've got it all screened. I've taken the clumps and dumped them over. Oh, I've got these desert fig cactuses. I dumped them around the desert figs and around the desert museums, and then I have a lone little Palo Verde tree that's about that tall. I put it around there. What I'm left with is this stuff right here. Look at that. Does not smell like chicken here. Does not smell like chicken crap. Doesn't smell like anything. It actually has almost a peat moss smell to it. It's really good. So we're going to take this, as soon as I finish it, and spread it over on some of the plants. I'll get a little scooper to do that with. Now, there's going to be people that are going to want to comment to me about how chicken manure is very, very hot, and even the composted chicken crap can be hot. I know that, you know that, most gardeners know that, so we're just I'm gonna use it intelligently and not burn my plants. Now that's just a really simple simple solution to a potential problem. So don't write me and tell me it can be hot. I already know. Be back in a second. Well, here I am over by the moringa garden, at least the first section of it. These are, and I counted them finally, guys. There's 14 of them in here. My 14 moringas that are doing so well, they're now pushing 4 feet tall. Got my bucket full of composted chicken manure, and because it is rich, everybody just gets a couple handfuls, and I'm putting it right on top of the leaves and all right here. Ordinarily wouldn't do that living in the desert like this, But we have for the next 6 days, we have supposedly anywhere from 20 to 50% chance of rain. Now, we've had as much as a 90% chance of rain and never got any rain, and we've had as little as a 0% and gotten a couple inches. So that doesn't really mean anything, but we are expecting some rain. So I'm going ahead and now I can't go over the top here because I've got this this 1/4 inch wire here, but I'm gonna go ahead and put it there. It'll rain this afternoon, and hopefully that rain will wash it in real good. All right. Now, not only have I done these, the ones that are right in front of me here, there's 5 little ones, and then I've got the original ones that I've already put this on. I'm going to put it on my new baby moringas, and then we're going to move on to something else, which I'm doing because it rained last night. It rained quite a bit, and I'm hoping it'll be an easier job, but we'll show you that when I come back. Well, the heat of summer pretty much stopped me from doing any masonry. And it's just so uncomfortable. We run out of energy, and really I've been on the edge of heat exhaustion several times, and the problem with doing masonry is it doesn't care whether I'm alive or dead. It's going to dry at a certain speed, so I didn't want to take a chance on ruining the masonry. So I've been finding other little things to do, and one of the things is this area in here. As I'd said, I think in the previous vlog, we're going to go ahead and plant this with moringa trees and fruit trees that'll survive out here. But first, I got to clear all this underbrush. And about 3/4 of the underbrush in this area here, between this line of rocks and this line of rocks, that's the check dam, this is just ornamental. About 3/4 of this vegetation is a tree or a bush called catsclaw. It's not that desirable. It'll catch you and it'll cut you wide open. The pods are not that good. It just isn't a real good plant. The rest is creosote bush. Creosote bush is even worse. The difference is creosote bush comes out easily. I'll show you what we do with this. Now, is this a pickaxe? Whatever the heck this is what we use. Now, you're supposed to kind of stomp it out of your way so you can get down to the base, and then you just swing this big thing, get down in there, and out it comes. Now it will leave a root, and that root will regrow, and we'll deal with that as it regrows. This comes up really easy. Of course, I missed a piece. On the other hand, cat's claw, even a fairly small cat's claw like this one right here, she don't come out so easily. I'm under it, but gives you an idea what that root's like. Well, one more. Well, that gives you an idea. You saw how easy the creosote bush came out. And I thought since we had rain it would be easy, but it wasn't. So I'm trying to get some help out here to help me either hand labor, to give me a hand to getting some of these up. There's only about maybe 50 in this area that we have to move, and that's all we have to move. Or I'm trying to get a little backhoe out here. Now, with money being tight, the odds of me hiring a backhoe or finding somebody to just donate the time is kind of slim, but you can always hope. So I'll get back in a minute and tell you some other things we're doing. Well, I'm back behind the camera because the wind has come up. And let me show you why the wind has come up. As we look over this way, towards due west, way off that mountain you see way off. It's called Taurus Mesa. And look at that rain that might be coming. We have a 5 years of 5 years. Yeah, nobody wants that. 5 days of rain supposedly coming our way. So I wanted to finish this one project before the rain came. And like I say, since the wind's blowing, I'll stay behind the camera. But I have mentioned in several videos Brad Lancaster's books, Rainwater Harvesting for Drylands and Beyond. And one of the techniques he learned, and permaculture has different names for it, the people involved in permaculture. And, you know, when people get so excited, they think they've invented something, and actually it's been around for thousands of years, like this. This has been around for thousands of years. This is a very simple, very small berm and basin. Now, the berm is that pile of dirt behind there, and I got the pile of dirt by digging the basin that's in front. So you have, and this is a slope down into the arroyo. So the water, if we get enough rain, which we very seldom do, but if we get enough rain, the water would flow down into the basin and flood the basin. Then it would, but it gets slowed down when it hits the basin. Then it fills up the berm, and the berm is in the shape of a smile. It fills up the berm, and it will spill out the edges of the berm. Then ideally you would have another berm down below this one with the bottom of the smile right where the overflow point is, and the whole thing repeats until you hit the bottom of your slope. Now in the case here, we're not going to do another berm and basin because of the angle here, but I wanted to show you classic berm and basin construction. Now you can either plant it or leave it, just leave it as a basin, as a hole. I planted this with moringa trees because this is going to be where the moringas are, and I put 40 moringa trees in that little spot. But that's because these moringas are for food, and we're only going to grow them up about 4 feet so they can be densely packed. But again, you can put anything you want in them. I did that, and you can see the darker dirt on top is actually that chicken manure again. Now what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to put my fence up and then come back and finish this. I've got one little short segment of the vlog I wanted to tell you, and then we're done, and hopefully it'll be raining by then. I've said before, the moringas and anything I grow has got to be protected from the chickens. So I just had to put that little fence up. Now I've got one more little thing you might be interested in for this vlog. Take a minute or two, and that's the end of it. And finally today, again, totally unrelated. That's what a vlog is all about, I guess, or that's what I'm going to define a vlog as. Totally unrelated. I've been studying the superfoods, which is how I found the moringa, and see all the benefits for feeding not only us but our animals with it. But I've been studying other superfoods, and a lot of these don't come as a surprise to people. Turmeric, something that doesn't come as a surprise, probably one of the most underused spices out there. And ginger, which is just fantastic for a dozen different things. Look up all of those rather than me sit here and rah, rah, rah and tell you about them. But I made a superfood salad dressing last night that tasted delicious. And Debbie enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I've got it here sitting, and I'm going to show you my salad dressing, and then give you the recipe. So pause me right here, and get a pen and paper, or a pad and paper, so you can write down the recipe, because I'm not putting it on here in text. And I'm shaking it up real good so you can get a good look at the color. This is a salad dressing. It's kind of a vinaigrette, oil and vinegar type of vinaigrette. And I don't experiment too much, but you get an idea of the color. Now, I want you to notice that it's very, very liquidy, and I'm going to tell you how to fix that after I give you the recipe. It uses my moringa oil. Now, the problem with moringa oil is this is about 30 bucks for this, what I've got right here. So moringa oil can be expensive, so it's not something you want to use for a whole lot of stuff. But a 1/4 teaspoon in some soup, or a 1/2 teaspoon in some soup, or make salad dressing every once in a while. And by the way, I use turmeric because turmeric is a very, it has many, many health benefits. Also yellow in color, but completely different, is saffron. And if you're a saffron person, you can crush up some saffron and put it in here, but you will be sacrificing all the health benefits of turmeric. All right, I said I'd give you the recipe real quick. The wind's up, I know, so hopefully you can hear me over it. This is a Good Seasons jar. It's got water and a vinegar mix marker on it. So you fill to the water line, all the way up to the water line. You fill it with vinegar, and that can be rice vinegar. It can be apple cider vinegar. I have a vinegar that I pickle my jalapenos in, and that's what I used on this. But fill it to that water line. Then you add a teaspoon to a tablespoon of turmeric, depending on how much you like turmeric. I put almost a tablespoon in, but a teaspoon to a tablespoon. About 1/8 of a cup, or even a little less than that, of grated ginger. Now this grated ginger, you can actually put it in a pan with that vinegar and heat it up, and heat it right to the boiling, but don't boil it. Heat it right to the boiling and stir it up and let it sit and cool back down. That gets the ginger flavor into it. Or you can do as I did last night, and I just put the ginger in. But I would heat it first. A teaspoon to a tablespoon, or a teaspoon and a half, of Mrs. Dash's garlic. 1 teaspoon of salt, and if you do like I do and use the vinegar that you had your jalapenos in, you skip this step. But put a dash of your favorite hot pepper in there. I don't ever like to use cayenne, but use anything else other than cayenne. Just a dash of it in there to your taste. You know, you're not making this spicy, you're just bringing a tiny bit of heat up into it. Now, you fill it to the top, and when I say the top, notice where my finger is. Fill it just about to the top of my finger there with moringa oil. If you don't have moringa oil, use olive oil. If you don't like to use olive oil, use peanut oil. And if you have canola oil or vegetable oil, use that. But that's your order: moringa, olive oil, peanut oil, then anything else. Now those give you all the superfood advantages of these ingredients. Now, if you like your dressing a little thicker, the secret to making it thicker is make sure it's cool when you do this. You add some cornstarch. Add cornstarch or flour, but cornstarch is probably best. Or if you have rice flour, you can add rice flour. Yeah, that would be about all. But add about a teaspoon of that to this mix. Shake it up real good and see, is it the thickness you like? If it's not, add a little bit more. It won't hurt anything. It has, those flour and cornstarch have a neutral flavor, and all they're going to do is thicken this up. Remember, you're not cooking it, so you're not going to get that thickening power if you were cooking. And it's a very delicious dressing, and I hope you like it. And with that, I will end the vlog for August 10th, 2016. Hope you enjoyed all my bouncing around here. And hopefully it's going to rain like stink very shortly, and it'll wet down that the moringas in that new berm and basin. So, until the next video or the next vlog, it's Robert Earl out here at the Eco Ranch in Far West Texas. Bye for now, guys.